Have you ever stood in front of a crowd with your heart racing? This video will go through the 5 mistakes that worsen those public speaking fears, whether you're presenting in a classroom, briefing at work, or speaking at an event. I've gotten better at controlling these nerves. I used to be so scared to speak that I just end up shouting at the crowd.
Say that I look to a day.
Now I'm able to think on my feet.
Regardless of whether he gets to 250k, he looks $1 million.
I can speak in a more conversational way.
Tonight is about each and every one of you and how incredible you are. So can we have a round of applause for everyone?
And I delivered 4 strong presentations during my internship in a bank, which helped me to secure a highly competitive job in the city. So I'm going to use my experience to go straight into 5 mistakes that worsen your public speaking fears. The first mistake that worsens your public speaking fear is ignoring your audience. Now, 30 minutes or maybe an hour before you're supposed to speak, you might be feeling really nervous. And so intuitively, you might think it's a good idea to go into a separate room and just to say your speech a few more times just to get that extra practice. For example, a few years ago, I used to just lock myself in the bathroom just so I could say my speech one more time. But the problem with locking yourself away is that you don't actually get to engage with your audience that you're about to speak with. Also, locking yourself away like this isn't what you'd normally do on a normal day or at a normal event. And so what you're actually doing is you're telling your brain that today isn't a normal day, and therefore you're going to be getting even more nervous as a result. So instead of ignoring your audience and just locking yourself away, try and just meet one new person from the audience that you're about to speak to. That way you'll feel a lot more calm when you're up there on that stage and you're not telling your body that today is a day to be nervous. The second mistake is lacking structure. This is when your presentation or speech is a bit all over the place and it doesn't flow very well. I at minimum use a structure that I've adapted from Simon Lancaster that I call the tri-story method. And the 3 parts to this is my story, our story, and the future. Firstly, when you start with my story, that's just about drawing the audience in about what's brought you here today. You can share a memory from 10 minutes ago or 10 years ago, but just something to set the scene about you. Secondly, with our story, that's about what brings everyone in the room together. Maybe why are we here today, or are there some shared beliefs that we all have? And finally, with the future, that's about what's next, what's there to look forward to, and try and end with this on a positive note. When you have a simple structure like the tri-story method, it makes you feel less nervous because you're more prepared. The third mistake that worsens your public speaking fear is not taking a pre-speech breath. This is when you take a deep breath just before your presentation or speech. And I know it sounds like such a simple thing to do, yet so many people still don't do it. Now just imagine if you were able to do this before speaking when you're nervous, you'll be able to reframe that fear that you have in your mind and turn that into excitement instead, just by taking one deep breath. The fourth mistake that worsens your public speaking fear is underestimating the opening. This is when you don't put enough time into making sure you have a really powerful first few lines. What you can instead do is start with something interesting like a question or a joke or a fact. I often start my presentations or speeches by saying, I'd like to share a story. And I found that this is so much more interesting than saying, good afternoon, everyone. My name's Covey. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. Because the second you start saying that, people just switch off. The benefit of starting on a strong note is the second that you can make the crowd laugh, or you can actually see they're engaged with you at the start, you're immediately able to feel more calm because you know you're doing a good job. So put a lot of time into your first few lines if you want to feel less nervous about your speech or presentation. I also want to quickly say that I make videos that help you to level up your social skills. So if you want to get more useful videos like this on your algorithm, please subscribe. The fifth mistake is not practicing your speech enough. Now, I'm sure you know that you need to practice your speech a bunch of times before you say it, but still some people don't practice in the right way. The best way to practice is to say your speech or presentation to a family member or a friend, because then you're used to saying it to other people as opposed to just by yourself. Also, try and film your speech so you personally can see where you need to improve, and also you can just listen to your speech then a bunch of times so it'll get stuck in your head. If you can keep practicing like this, you'll be much less likely to be nervous for your speech. I want to end by asking you to take action right now. Think to yourself which point resonated with you most. Maybe are you ignoring your audience? Does your speech lack structure? Or are you just forgetting to take a deep breath? And promise yourself to work on this mistake until you make it your strength. Finally, if you want to have a memorable speech and not be some average speaker that everyone forgets, I've linked a video here on 4 ways to be unforgettable. Check that out. Thanks for watching and see you next time.